So hello and welcome back, everybody. Today's demonstration is going to be how to disassemble and service a Wells Gardner K4700, which is the 13-inch version of the K4600. So if you've been to my site, arcaderepair.net, you may have perused the monitor submenu and found a post in there called Servicing the Wells Gardner K4600. It just so happened one night I was working on one of those and I decided to create like a step-by-step procedure for how to take it apart, because there's a lot of steps involved. Alright, but let's get into this, okay? So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be like disconnected or removed. So we'll start with the secondary anode. So since I have my actual proper tools today, this is going to be my discharge tool. I've removed a lot of ROMs and discharged a lot of CRTs with this thing. So I'm going to alligator clip it in like the thick part. You don't want to use the thin part because it might slip out. And then I'm going to clip the other end to the frame. Now this monitor hasn't been turned on in like 3 weeks, so this is merely a simulation for how to discharge an anode. But what you do is, once you got everything all clipped together, you just kind of go underneath and you go psh, and you might get a little light show out of it. But you're trying to get at the prongs that are hooked into the tube there. More on this in a second. But the way how I take these out is just kind of grab in the middle here, you bend it. Well, it already came out. That was a poor demonstration. Let me try to hook this back in. I got it in. So I just kind of go one way, unhook one this side, and then just kind of turn it clockwise, right? Clockwise, and it comes out. Now, take your alligator clip. This is a safety PSA here. Let me put this back together. Get back in there. Okay. Clip back to the frame. And then take this end and just clip it in the hole. Clips are really slippery. Clip it in the hole like that. There's a reason for that, and that's because if this was a freshly run monitor, what would happen is like all the residual charge on the back of the tube, it just kind of seeps back in there. So like you take all this stuff out and you work on it and you go put it back together, you might be surprised to see you might get a little spark, right? Well, that's how you prevent the spark. So, the next thing is going to be the deflection yoke. Monitors like the K4900, K7000, Electrohome G07, they'll have 4 wires coming from the yoke and they go to like a plug that you plug into the deflection board. But this one's backwards. This one's got the 4 wires coming out of the deflection board and you manually connect it to these posts here. Let me check something. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. If you look, these are actually like color markings. Whoever worked on this monitor previously, they were kind enough to create like a color code. So this is blue, this is green, this is yellow, and this is red. So the red and the blue are the horizontal winding of the yoke. Let me move this up a little bit. The horizontal winding of the yoke, and the yellow and green wires in the middle here are the vertical winding. Now, if you look at these two wires, the blue and the green, they look pretty similar, don't they? All right, so this is an important safety PSA. I was working on a K4600 years ago, and the place I work is it's got like dark blue lighting in the place. And back in those times, I'd be working like 14, 15 hours, and they look the same. So if you were to do this, holy wow, why is that so flexible? If you were to do this, if you were to do that, you're not going to get fire, you're not going to get lightning or anything like that, but what it will do is it will damage the vertical deflection transistors on the XY card, which we're going to be talking about that in great detail. But my recommendation is you take a picture of how the wires are oriented so that you know how to hook them up later. Next thing is going to be the degauss plug. Let me see if I'm even in frame here. Let's zoom back out. The degauss plug. So on this monitor, like, you got the wires, they run here, and then you might want to do like a pull on the wires, see if they're fraying or anything. These are okay. So all you gotta do is just unplug this. Alright, so there's the degauss plug, and I'm just gonna snake it into the handle to get it out of the way. Next up is the CRT ground, which is this wire. There's like a braid that connects to the four corners of the tube. It goes to this little apparatus here where this is soldered onto the braid. We have to disconnect this wire. Now, whoever worked on this monitor, they never cut that wire for some strange reason, huh? I'm just going to get this out of the way for a second. I'll put it back later, because we're going to need it later. But here's the ground wire going to the neck board, and usually I cut it like closer to the neck board here, and I just run my own wire and splice them together later. So I'm probably going to do that, because I do have some wire here. Now make sure you cut this wire and not this wire that's connected to the deflection board here, which I had no intentions of including this in the disassembly, but I think I'm going to do exactly that. Because I'm going to be undoing some of these ground wires. So let me look here. Yeah, you can't see me. You can't see me. Now you can see me. So the other wire coming off the neck board, it screws in over here. I'm just going to unscrew this out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread the screw back in where I took it out of. The screwdriver's magnetic. Okay, so there's that. We're getting closer. Now, what I want to do is take this out. Believe it or not, that's the flyback transformer right there. It's held in with two bolts, one on the top and one on the bottom. The top one is already kind of loose. But what you do is you loosen the bottom bolt and you take out the top bolt completely. And it's supposed to just come out. There it is. And it just lifts up and out. And once again, I'm just going to thread this bolt back in here so it doesn't get lost. Alright, so now we're at a point where we can actually remove this whole bottom tray. This is the deflection board tray. So this is the 13-inch one. This step applies to the little 13-inch frame, obviously, but it also applies to the vertical frame, which I discovered today. Looking at my old work pictures, those would have been in Zaxxon Moto Race USA, probably Make Tracks also. I think Make Tracks have one of those. That would venture Congo Bongo as well, because it's the same cabinet type as Zaxxon. But I can't really think of many K4600 games that had that frame. But probably the more common frame is going to be the horizontal mount frame, kind of like this one, but just, you know, bigger. It's 19-inch. To get the deflection board tray out of those, we're going to have to use our imagination, because this one is not like that. But I'm taking the bolts out of the sides here. They're little 1/4-inch hex heads, so I'm using my 1/4-inch socket. I'm using my big ratchet because it's got this thing that you can turn. Makes life a lot easier. This used to be my my old go-kart ratchet back when I used to fix go-karts or pitching machines. Pitching machines in the batting cages. Okay, so there's that side. Let me do this side now. And then, it's going to get very exciting. I have a better idea. This might make this a lot easier if I prop it up a little bit. There we go. There we go. Or, got my magnetic 1/4-inch tool. We'll use that. There we go. That's much easier. Much easier. Clunk. Okay. Oh my goodness, I didn't want to do that. Did we hurt him? There's too many things in there. Did we hurt him? Why is this like this? Did we hurt him? No, we didn't hurt him. Okay, so I can get the tube out of the way now. All right. Let's reframe here. Yeah, so if you have a horizontal frame like in Pac-Man, Centipede, Galaxian, there's actually 2 bolts right here that you take out, and the tray, it's like a little squarish tray on 2 rails. It just kind of lifts out like that. So that's kind of handy. Alright, so we can actually disconnect the flyback, if you could believe. And the way to do that, there's a ground wire right here. So let's undo this ground wire. And this is just kind of flopping around now because I got that plastic bracket out. Once again, I'm just going to thread the screw back in here. Kind of. There's a plug going from the signal card to the neck board, and that's what tells the neck board display red, green, and blue. I'm going to unplug that. And there's another plug, which is, I think, this bigger one. Yeah, that one stays with the deflection board. And then there's this big plug right here. If you unplug that, fight me a little bit, looks like. Try this again. Oh my goodness. And that isolates the flyback and neck board. So now I can set these aside. And we are almost there. So let me put this bracket back in. So these just kind of pinch together, and that's how you get it around the post, like that. And that is in place. Now, let me see here. So, to get the width coil out, don't go bending these things. I can see right here they tried bending this to get it out. There's actually a much easier way to do this. And that's to desolder the two wires off of the width coil. Unfortunately, because it's already been broken, I need to kind of put some weight on it somehow to hold it in place. I don't want to smush it. I don't want to smush it. Actually, let me just pull this out the rest of the way. And kind of like that. Why is my soldering iron not turning on? Because I apparently turned the power strip off. I don't know what that's about. But these are solid core wires. They're actually soldered to these two posts here. That's how I used to take this off. I used to, you know, heat these up and pull the wires off of there, but it's actually way easier to just do it right at the width coil. So what I'm going to do is add some solder to these 2 points. Which may take a while for it to melt. As you can see, that wire's already come out. There's one. And there's 2. All right. And now we can just kind of set this aside. When I go to reinstall it, you're going to use the desolder tool to clear those holes out. You can put the wires back in. Or you could live dangerous and just kind of try to feed them back in. So I'll just set the vice grips aside there. But now we need to get the actual deflection board off of the tray. And the way to do that, first and foremost, is we got to take this bolt out here. Which I think those are all the same. And then underneath the tray, holding these black plastic borders in, are 4 1/4-inch screws. Let me see if we're in frame. So let's take these out. Now be mindful, these are 2 different things. So don't go trying to put these in here and these under here. All right. One's a screw and one's a bolt. You're going to want to have a hand on this because it's going to go it's going to go flop when you get all the screws out. Yeah, this is much easier with this tool. I bought this for fixing pinball games, but it's working pretty nice for this. Alright, so now that comes off. We can set this aside now. So, making a mess here. This border just kind of slides right off like that. But you see this one's locked in place, and that's because I got to get that out. Which I don't know if like the socket just got like rounded out or something, but we'll see if I can get this out. If I push very hard, I might get it to turn. Oh, it's working. Look at that. Alright. Uh-oh. So there's that bracket. We'll set that in there. And then get the other border out. The width coil wires were kind of in the way. Alright, now we can get rid of these. Add those to the pile. Now, it looks like the hard part has been done. The Achilles heel of the K4600, let's zoom in a little bit. No, make that better. Is going to be these header pins that the cards plug into. You might get weird stuff like an adjustment doesn't work or vertical collapse or something silly. But it looks like they already did that. But here's how I would do this. The way how I do it is I go down the line. So these are all numbered. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The way how I do this is, first I add solder to all of these, which they did, and this monitor works. It's not, it doesn't have any intermittent issues, so I'm just not going to do that part, okay? But the way how I would do this is I desolder the odd pins first. So we go 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, right? Desolder those, and then add new solder. Right? I had issues in the past. This is back in the day when, you know, I used to buy my solder from Radio Shack. So, like, if you're using unleaded solder and you're mixing it in with the old stuff, like, just simply adding it instead of, like, you know, adding, removing, and laying down new solder, you might have some problems. So that's when I started doing it, you know, where I add solder, remove it, lay down new solder. But the reason why you do it like odds first and then even second or vice versa is because you don't want these strips, you don't want those to move. I'm probably going to break this thing now. Yeah, you don't want those to move. Alright? But once you do all of that, something broke off. Then you have to take the cards out like this, and you have to resolder the plug ends as well, which they did not do that. Alright? But the reason why this is a problem is back in the day when, you know, when these games were coin operated and they had to make money, it was pretty normal for them to, like, you know, flip-flop stuff around. So, like, I don't know, maybe this XY card went bad. We'll just take one from another monitor that is in, like, a, you know, a lesser earning game, and we'll just plug that in. But the problem is, you do that enough times, the factory solder eventually breaks down. All right? Now, here's a good example, because they didn't do the power board. this thing over here. Let me see if I can show you. If you look at those pins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, it's probably not going to happen to the power board because you don't take that in and out regularly, but eventually, because of the high current, the solder potentially will like disintegrate, you know. Now, I'm not ready to take this out yet, but believe it or not, this whole wall comes out. So it's held in with one cable tie on the bottom here, so we're just going to cut this, turn the soldering iron back on, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add solder to these pins down here. And then I will show you how to take this wall out. And then I have to figure out where I put the cap kit and stuff. It's around here someplace, I think. But let's add some solder to this. Yeah, I'm right in frame. Look at that. The camera's on a tripod and I can't see what's going on. Just FYI. See, these aren't soldering very well, so probably going to wind up removing this solder and starting over. You see, I'm just kind of dragging the iron back and forth, controlling the solder here to get it to flow through all around. But if you look at this pin 6, you see it's like almost like there's a half of a chunk like missing out of it. Maybe if we add the flashlight, yeah, it kind of doesn't help. But so, but now check this out. So you got this white thing and the black thing over here, which is not moving. You just pop them up to unlock them, and this whole wall comes off. Because you got some caps on here that need to get replaced, and you can see there was a lot of stuff in the way there. When I discovered this, it like blew my mind. I was like, whoa, you can just take that out? Because the way how I used to do it was I would unscrew the power board and take it out that way, but we don't have to do all that anymore. We got this. Alright, so now you can see here the flexion board is pretty stripped down now. So I think I just hooked these in here to get them out of the way, so I'm not getting whipped in the face by wires. There's that. Okay. So that is the disassembly part. As for the reassembly, you just kind of do the steps in reverse. But I'm going to go on an intermission here, and I will be back. Because like I said, I got to find the cap kit. I don't know where I put it. It's around here someplace, though. On the subject of cap kits, if you buy a cap kit for one of these, you have to replace this cap too. This is not part of the cap kit. This is a separate part. This is C621. If you just do a search for C621, you should find the replacement. Because when that cap goes bad, from what I have seen, the picture will do like a vertical jitter kind of thing. It'll do that, or it'll actually make arcs. It'll arc. So That's definitely a part that you want to replace. But other than that, that is it for now. So let me go find the caps. Let me go do that. Okay, I'm back. So the cap kit was right there. It was right on the floor. So don't mind me. But anyway, let's move some of that stuff out of the way. So we do some advertising today. Yeah, this cap kit came from Arcade Parts and Repair, obviously. So I use like a roll of tape. I just kind of dump all the caps in there. But this roll of tape isn't very tall, so they're just kind of overflowing. But here's that C621 I was talking about. Let me get the fancy pliers. Straighten these legs out real quick. I think I bent it more. Folding it into that bag. Let's replace this first. This is actually a little tricky. This is dirty underneath here. It's very dirty. Give me 1 second. Old toothbrushes are pretty helpful. Okay. So they got the legs folded. So I'm just going to cut this off. That's all I'm going to do. Let me... Where's that? I get this other end out. If I can get on it. There we go. So there's that. I'm going to add new solder. And so I have to bend the legs accordingly. If I'm lucky, they line up. Yeah, these require some effort. So what I used to do was kind of bore the holes larger, but came up with a better way. So you just kind of feed the leg into that side and you melt this and it should go through like that. But I need it to go back the other way. That. So now I took the whole thing out. Go back. Go back. There we go. Okay, now I'm in the other side. solder here. I'm in there. Yeah, I'm in there. There we go. Yeah. I said it takes some effort, didn't I? Okay. But we want it to go in flat. Said I need you to go in flat. Let's see here. There we go. Alright, so it's in flat. Now I can perma solder it. Kind of like that. Okay. I don't really like these. Yeah, we're in frame. If you go to desolder these header pins, you don't. I don't care how big the nozzle you have is. Like this one, yeah, this one will fit around it. But I'm going to kind of go from the side, just to show you what happens if you don't have the card installed. It will just fall out. You see that? So I'm going to put it back in. Probably cut those legs. I'm going to plug this back in, or try to. There we go. You remember that wall that I took out? I'm going to put it back in. You gotta line these up with the holes. This monitor actually, the white side is just kind of flopping around. That probably explains why it won't snap. Okay. But nevertheless, I'm going to try to brush these a little bit. See, this one, here we go. Kind of breaking my own protocol here. Is this thing clogged? It is. Why is it clogged? Because why is it clogged? So this is a whole other subject, maintaining these things. Okay, now as to what I meant by breaking protocol, I just did all the pins all at once, right? I told you to do odds and evens, but this one is different than those. So let's see if I can get the solder to flow better this time. Yep. Kind of go up and down with it. And that'll get it very nice. Okay. Very nice. Alright. There's these little nylon things right here in the way. You can kind of work around them. Okay. And let's give it a look. Oh yeah, that's solid. Alright. So now we can take the wall back out. Like so. It's stuck. There we go. Take the wall out. Okay. So yeah, we gotta cut these legs. Be beneficial. So that should keep it from arcing or doing anything stupid. So let's do the flyback pins here. Probably should have resoldered those when it was plugged in, but I'm just going to add solder from the side. Yeah, that one didn't move at all. It's making crackle sounds. Listen to that. Wow, okay. We could do that proper later. Anyway, now the way how I do these is I start with the XY card. The reason why I start with the XY card is because there are an exorbitant amount of caps on this tiny little board. So the sheet conveniently breaks this down. Video interface board, there's the XY board, power board, main board. Alright. So concentrate on the XY board. So what I need, there's some 10 microfarad caps, that's these. Some 22s, there's a 22, yep, 22. 2.2, this is the main board. 470s, nope, we don't want those. Here's what I'm going to do. Stuff I don't need, I'll throw in the tape. Okay, so these are 10, 250s, those are main board. 4.7, 250, we need that. 1025, this is video interface. 150, that goes there. Need 1035 volts. 4750. One of these 2250s is for the power board. 47,250. Where does this go? 47,250. Mainboard. Mainboard, okay. 1 microfarad caps, that's mainboard. 4.750, yep, that's XY. 1035, that's main. And we got a 2.250. We'll say that's XY. Okay. So let's go down the line. So this cap was replaced. The original caps are all like gray. So they're kind of easy to spot. And the polarity markings are plus signs. Plus signs. Okay. Helpful pro tip. I don't need these, but the legs that you cut off, keep them in a cup. You never know when you might need them someday. Okay, so this is C313. This is a 4750. The spacings on the original caps are much wider than the modern replacements. So what you may need to do, I'll show you how I do it, is spread the legs out. But first of all, I don't like this curvy stuff, so I straighten these like this. But if you look at the spacing, it's like not even close. The way how you do this is you fold the legs outward like that, and you do a 90-degree bend at the outside of the cap, like that. You see how that just plugs right in flush? Attack one of these legs. I'm going to melt it again and give it a push on the other side so that it's flat against the board. Make sure to clean your tips. Alright. And C362, that's a 10 microfarad, so let's peel these off. So these are easy because you can see the fresh solder. Pretty tight, so sometimes I use pliers to pull the old caps out. Pardon the interruption, my camera just stopped. See, here's the deal with the power board. So that's the voltage regulator right there. That's actually not a fixed voltage regulator. These have a B+ adjustment on them, which I'll show you in a second. So that was the even pins. Let's do the odd pins. Going in a circular motion so it flows through. Okay. that is the B plus adjustment pot. I have never adjusted B plus on one of these before, ever, lifetime. So, these are 10, 250. This thing's fighting me. There we go. Set that aside, and this one is a 2.2, 22. 22, I got it. This one has the legs folded, so I'm going to heat it up and wiggle it a little bit. There we go. There's that. And that. Okay. Plus side is that way. That. There's this. Did you leak? Oh, I think it leaked. Plus side is the top. I've never needed to resolder any of this other stuff on these. If you want to do it, you can do it. I'm not. And up these. So this is probably where you measure the B plus at, because that would make sense. That's the regulator right there. But once again, I've never done it on one of these, so now the deflection board. So this one's got caps that are like mounted diagonally. It's kind of amusing. Like that one. 1035. Should be this cap. Yep. Do I have to fix the spacing? No. Nope. It's good the way it is. All right. Huh. This C623, is this 47? 470. This is a big giant cap. The technical advances we've made in 45 years. There's a bunch of these white plastic things falling out all over the place. I wonder if that went to that. That's why it doesn't snap in place. This one's dirty. This one's on these. Oh, we got 3. Really? Oh, one of them goes to the non-existent cap on the signal board. Okay. These, I'm going to have to modify the spacing. This is actually fun. I've been dreading doing this for like the last 2 weeks, but this is actually like pretty fun. It better still work when I put it back in the game. All right, there's a 10250 right here. This was replaced at some point in time. This is the other one. Uh-oh, which one's which? Yeah, important safety tip. Always look at the caps as you take them out. Yeah, I don't have it backwards. Look at the polarity, like the way the cap is faced when you take it out. That's why you do them one at a time. There are some people in the world that they will go like gung-ho and take all the caps out of the board all at once, and then they find out after the fact that, you know, back in the day, like, that one of the caps, like, wasn't in the kit. So you get caught with your pants down. Okay. This is losing my footing here. 47160. Just for my personal amusement, because I have a working component tester again. I want to see how this measures. Let's find out. I even put the alligator clips. Like, I'm excited. This tool is a major lifesaver. Let's see what we got. Doesn't work if the clip falls off. It's a healthy cap, but we're going to put a new one, which is this one right here. Yeah, the old one was a blue Nichicon. Those look cool, but I'm sure we'll get a stern lecture about how they're not the Mega Ultra Deluxe variety. This one I had to push in. Big, thick ground trace right there. So those are usually B+ filter caps, but it's on the complete opposite side of the board. Oh, that's the hot. You can see the little transformer. This thingy right here, I think this is an inductor. One of the monitors at work, it was in a Phoenix. The monitor would like randomly black out, and I kept going back and forth with this thing for about maybe a week until I figured out, I pulled this out and I looked at it and the solder here was dry. So even though these are good, I'm going to resolder them anyway. probably do the little transformer as well. Okay, important safety tip. See, I was supposed to use that thing. I was supposed to use the overhead, but I'm using the tripod. At least this time the tripod, I'm like not all up in its business, I don't think. But alright, C619. This is a 1 microfarad cap. Which I didn't peel these off yet. The reason my videos keep stopping is because I'm running out of disk space. That means we need to finish this up, huh? I trashed a video, but I don't know if it actually deleted it. We'll figure that out momentarily. But there's another diagonal cap. This is C613. Which is a 220 microfarad cap. Yeah, worst case scenario, if we lose this part of the video, that's okay. It's just a boring cap kit, right? I don't know if it's downscaling the video or what it's doing, but we'll figure that out. Looks like we only have, oh, we got 2 caps. Here's one here. So this is C614. Which is 10, no, that's a 1. Here's a 10. 10 microfarad, 50 volt cap. Alright, I emptied the trash. Okay. I know that sounds outrageous, but whatever. Alright, now we have 1 cap left, C617. It's a 1 microfarad cap. So I got 2 caps left over. One of them would have gone to the signal board if it existed. What's the other one? They're both 470s. Supposed to be 2 of them on the deflection board. Huh. I don't think they made multiple revisions of these, but let's see. 220. 470. C623 was one of them, and C632 is the other. Now if you look at this board, oh there it is. That's where it would have been. Okay. If you look at this board, there's a lot of empty space. And according to legend, from a man that is much wiser than me, the K4600 came out of a Montgomery Ward TV set. So I'm assuming this this empty card slot right here, this would have been where the tuner would have gone. But yeah, you can see on the adjustments there's a tint, a sub-tint, color, sub-color, contrast. It's pretty wild, huh? Alright, so let's start putting this back together. Because I want to give the neck board some attention, and I'll show you why when I get there. Let's plug the power board back in. Line this up. It's very bendy. There's actually like a hook that goes into. In. There we go. So apparently I can only lock the black side because this one there's just some stuff missing on it. Let me see. I have a bag of zip ties here, right here. It's right in front of me. Big bag of zip ties. Let me see if I can cable tie this into place. So let's do this. This will go this way. I'm just improvising here. Let's see if I can get this to pull through more. It's falling apart on me. What do you think? Did I get it? Oh yeah, it's solid. Cool. Okay. Put our card bracket back in. By the way, that's the card side and that's the power board side, so you don't put it in backwards. I don't even know if you saw it at the right angle, but just throwing that out there. All right. While I'm here, okay, the black level pot, I'm actually going to kind of cycle it a little bit. These usually just sit in the same spot for so long, it actually like wears into the resistive surface and it can break. So if you have the high voltage, like you touch the face of the screen and you have high voltage, but the screen is just black, you don't see anything on the screen, try cycling the black level pot. If it flashes like white briefly, that means that the black level pot is just bad. Okay, so that's going to go there. This is gonna go here. Shut that off. Let me get the garbage can over here. Clean up on aisle 12. It's a mountain of caps and cap legs. We'll throw that away. Okay. First, I have to reassemble this. So, let's put these borders back in. So many wires in the way. Easy there. There's those. Find my ratchet. Where'd my ratchet go? That's not working. I have to hand thread this in a little bit. There we go. Okay. One of these goes here. There's a bolt. Grab this. Not gonna go all the way with it yet. Alright, so let's get the 4 screws out. I'm like missing one of the bolts for the tray. I might be taking him back out. Okay. So let's flip this over. It's a little bendy. Get the hole straight. Yeah, where'd our bolt go? That's weird. Threw them all in there. Okay, so all these are in place, so I can tighten them. Like that. This I'm just gonna tighten this screw as much as I can. I'm gonna have to take this back out. I have a few of them. They're just sitting on a shelf. Rob another one when I get there. Okay. Let me move this out of the way temporarily. Actually, where did I put the width coil? There's the width coil. I need my solder tools back. Let's turn these back up. Oops. Getting ahead of myself. Okay. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't want to smush this. Just want to put some weight on it. Clear these holes out. This one's not melting. Okay. I don't know if you can see it, but the holes are cleared out. So now, let's run these back over here. Back my solder. Okay, probably gonna burn my hand here. Tack that in place. It takes a couple seconds for the solder to solidify. So don't let it pop out and whip solder in your eyes or something. So let's jiggle the wires. They are solid. I can get rid of the vice grips and try to finagle this back in since they already broke it. I wonder if I can bend these clips back. This might be dangerous. I mean, even in its broken state, the width coil does still work. So now I can move this out of the way again. Oh, I found the missing bolt. It's on the floor. Okay. Let's get the tube back here. No, I said I'm getting ahead of myself. I am getting ahead of myself. I need this. I need the neck board. Let's see. Yeah, we're in frame. Okay. You know what I really need? Is my spool of black wire. Probably yay long. We'll do that. More than enough wire. and my wire strippers. Okay, first things first, let's get rid of this cardboard cover. I don't like these. I mean, I understand, you know, for safety purposes or whatever, but I always get rid of them. But what I want to do here is I want to redo this ground wire connection here. This one's good, but usually they fray, and that is one connection that you do not want to break. Probably going to cut the wire off here. It's like all up in my business. Let's just see if I can brush this off. There we go. Takes a little bit of finesse, but try to clean that up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take this new wire. I didn't want to do that. But you just feed it in this hole and wrap it around here. Solder it into place. May have wanted to tin the wire first, but we're here now. Okay. So, and then give it the tug test. And what I want to do next is resolder the neck socket. This is a CR24 if I'm not mistaken, because it's a little 13-inch tube. Haven't had it happen on a K4600, but I had a K4900 in a gauntlet many years ago where it was missing blue, and I was going out of my mind. I'm doing the signal header, the blue transistor, like the whole deal, right? And I took this monitor in and out about like 3 times, I think, and on the 3rd time I looked at the neck socket, and you could see the blue pin, which is KB. In this case, it's that pin 3. Yeah, it was dry. And ever since that moment, I have committed myself to resoldering the neck sockets on these old monitors. You don't really need to muck with all the other stuff, but I'm going to resolder this plug, this header, these header pins here. And there's one other plug, comes in the deflection board. But first, before we get get too carried away here. Let's plug this flyback back in first. So the two pins that are closest to me are the ones that are spaced apart. Those red and then green wires. And apparently requires some effort to plug back in all the way. Okay. Try to stuff that in there. This other plug goes to the neck board. It's kind of sandwiched in here. Let's get that out. That plugs in here. This looks nasty, but the solder on it looks pretty solid, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Alright, now let's do the black ground wire. Just down here by the plug. And the solder connection on that looks pretty solid, so I'm not going to mess with that. This keeps falling out on me. This is a screw, so you gotta use some force to get it back in. Okay, there's that. Here's the RGB plug. I'm gonna go underneath this little locking bracket, plug it in. And the flyback ground, which goes into the side here by the hot. Left the screw in as well. This eyelid is bent. Straighten it. Using force. Here we go. Okay, there's that. And let's hook the flyback back in. Well, I got this empty space down here. I'm going to tighten the bottom bolt in, if I can find it. I have to use X-ray vision. There we go. There's that. Yeah, that's not going to fit. Need the other ratchet. Okay. I've done maybe 2 of these in the past. I don't remember being so tight and ridiculous. Okay, I think we are done with the irons, so I can turn these off. And get rid of all of these. And I'm going to pull this back a little bit. see if I get these holes to line up. There's one. This one has like a little, looks like an earth ground connection, I think is what that was intended to be. Okay, I got that one threaded in. Here's this. Since I found the missing bolt, I can put this back in. I am very thorough, what can I say? And that one is threaded in. This one I gotta bend up a little bit. Alright, I got all 4 threaded in. So now I just have to tighten them. Uh-oh, we lost one of our deguzzer wires. Not cool, dude. I forget where that goes. Should have taken a picture of it. I'm assuming... Yeah, I'll just fix that when I bring this back to work. I think I did take a picture of it. Okay, let's turn this the other way. Now, let's see if we're in frame. I'm going to tilt this up a little bit. So our alligator clip came detached. Here I am, I'm discharging it. Don't touch the metal while you're discharging it. That would be bad. This is power. Earth ground, or CRT ground. Yeah, that kind of makes me mad. Makes me a little mad. Okay. So let's do the anode. So these little rings on here, sometimes they make it difficult to get the prongs in. So I haven't had any adverse effects from removing them. Some people will insist that you need them. That's what the engineers wanted, but it's not what I want. So I'm just going to take it out, and the way I put this in is I hook one end in, you push from the other side. Oh, we lost it. Oh, it's crooked. They're crooked. Why are you crooked? So that's sticking out right now. I'll show you how you fix that when I'm done. I got it hooked in, and then you just grab the cup, pull back on the wire. Pull on this and it doesn't come out. It is seated all the way. So now let's do the yoke connections. This red one is like bent. Okay. Now these require a little bit of finesse to get back in because I'm always worried that I'm not going to plug it on. I'm going to like plug it around. And there's a lot of grease something on these. And remember, don't mix your green and blue up. And so there's the yolk. Got the yolk. Look how dirty my hands are. I need the strippers. Oh, wire strippers. Let's reconnect the CRT ground. Strip it back probably about an inch. Okay. Now, this is the isolated pin, so I'm assuming that's got to be focus. It's kind of impossible to get this on wrong. But I press it towards the middle by the actual neck socket, because if you push it from like the outside, these things are like glass. They are so fragile. Okay. And because I have an abundance of wire here, I can kind of go through here. Give it a few twists, and I kind of leave the tails fanned out. This sucks. I don't like this. I think it probably goes here, though. It probably goes to that post right there, but I'm just going to tuck that out of the way for a moment. And that's it. That's how you service a Wells Gardner K4700 or 4600. All right. That took a really long time, but that is the thorough method that I employ. You should not have any issues if you follow all of my directions. There's a potentiality you may need to do some readjusting when you get to the other side, but that is it. That was a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff, but it was a lot of fun. So, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, click subscribe. I'm going to have some other monitor videos in the future. Be every bit as educational as this. And that's it. I'm going to go eat now. Thanks for watching. So, I figured this out. I did take a picture of this. Just not today. So the two white wires go here. And the two black wires go out there. And that's it. This is the degauss. The degauss debacle. And just an FYI, if I can get in here, there are actually different types of plugs. Some of them have the 3. You can see the empty hole on the right. This one has the kind of more standard degauss plug. So after some delineation here, I'm not going to eat. I'm actually going to just take this back to work and put this Galaga back together and just call it a day and move on with my life.